continues after last week's hearing on corruption in the FBI. 3 FBI agents testifying on Wednesday about the institutional rot at the FBI and the DOJ.
Joining us now for more is the Vice Chair of the Center for American Security for America First Policy Institute and former Chief of Staff of the National Security Council, Fred Fleitz, and retired Air Force Brigadier General and Newsmax contributor Blaine Holt. Gentlemen, welcome. General, you wrote an op-ed for Newsmax, and it's focused on what you call the anticlimactic closing curtain on the John Durham investigation. Why do you think that this makes government a material breach of the Constitution?
Well, good morning, and it's great to be with you all. The trouble here is that you have folks who swore an oath to our Constitution. You are supposed to have due process. And what we find revealed is all these crimes, 380 pages of crimes, and no accountability, that Durham doesn't even recommend prosecutions. And then after all, who would do the prosecutions if we have this widespread corruption? What's emblematic is these 3 taking their chairs and telling their stories about how they clung to their oath of office and swore an oath to the Constitution through all of this. And they've had their lives wrecked, and they continue to be vindictive on these people. And now it's not so hard to understand why so many who took this oath would be silent, would be in fear when this is how our government institutions are led and run. The government is in breach of the Constitution, and you can see it on the southern border every day as a reminder that Article 4, Section 4 is not adhered to in any way, shape, or form. The security, the necessary edict to provide security for all of the states of the Union.
Fred, good morning. Good to have you with us as well. I want to get your take on what we saw play out last week on Capitol Hill.
I have very strong feelings about this. Now, let's talk about how these FBI whistleblowers have been treated. When it was announced they were going to testify, retaliation against them increased. They appeared at the hearing, and the Democrats said they're not real whistleblowers because the FBI has determined they're not real whistleblowers. I don't know how the FBI can say that. Obviously, it objects to what it's saying. But, Rob, what really bothers me is where's the ACLU? Where are these whistleblower organizations that protect whistleblowers? They're all silent. These people are being retaliated against. They are being retaliated against for speaking to Congress, and all these organizations that are supposed to be sticking up for them, we're not hearing a word from.
Well, and just on that note, we had Amir Benno on last week, constitutional law attorney, and he was talking about the Whistleblower Protection Act. He said the biggest problem with the Whistleblower Protection Act is that the people that are tasked with doing the protecting are the same people that these 3 agents were blowing the whistle on last week on Capitol Hill. So really tough to expect the FBI and the DOJ to try and stick up for these 3 agents.
Also, there are exceptions for people in the FBI and intelligence agencies from that act. And the reason is that if you have a job in national security, the government wants to have the right to release you with no questions asked because of the danger of you leaking classified information. But there still are protections for these people, and they're being violated.
Well, Amir suggested that we should use a third party to do it, an independent third party body that has the authority constitutionally to offer protection.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, General, just a quick follow-up on that. You mentioned accountability. Do you think there will be any accountability for the leaders in the FBI? Because I think when we talk about the FBI, a lot of people think it's the agents, and it's really not the agents. It's the leadership. But do you think anything's going to change?
Right, and we're focused on just the FBI, but this is all 3-letter agencies going right across the board. You look at the weaponization of the IRS, the weaponization of the Department of Homeland Security, the DOD, on and on and on. And accountability is what's keeping us from having our government run in perfect order. Right now, we don't have any accountability. And I get it. Congress has oversight hearings, and we see that happening. But right now, so far, they're ornamental. And Speaker McCarthy, I like a lot of things that he's pushing out on. He's got a big task with this debt ceiling. But he's already said publicly that he does not support the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. So when we start to see articles of impeachment drawn up on Wray or others, which is appropriate given what's happened, they've got to support that. They've got to follow through. Otherwise, we can see that our government's not functioning.
General, we're going to talk about the war in Ukraine past 450 days on Friday. We're going to talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Fred, I want to play you a soundbite. This is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, and he goes on these other networks, so I applaud him for that. I believe this is CNN, but he goes on and he's asked questions about the war in Ukraine and what. Or check that. This is MSNBC. Stacey. Thank you to my team. He's asked questions about who the right person would be to try and end this war. We never hear about ending this war. Take a listen.
To me, it's not really about Donald Trump versus Ron DeSantis. It's about what America needs. And that's where I've been really since day one. I talked a little bit about foreign policy in the last block. We have a situation right now where Russia's on the move and China is on the move. We need somebody who can step in day one, look at Vladimir Putin, look at Xi Jinping and say, okay, enough. I think there's only one person who has that ability right now, and it's Donald Trump.
Fred, your reaction to that, about 15 seconds.
I think he's right. Look, Trump had the guts to say in the CNN town hall, I don't talk about winning or losing. I just want to stop the killing. And that's a terrible thing to say for the Ukrainians. They don't want to lose territory, but they're going to lose a long-term war of attrition. And nobody's talking about ending the war except for Donald Trump. And I think right now he's the only one who's had the guts to say, let's just stop talking about who's right or wrong. Let's stop the killing, and then we'll work out the other details later.
Okay. The other side, of course, is that basically that's a tacit admission that the war's still going to be going on 20 months from now. That's Election Day 2024, a long time. General Holt, we'll see you in just a little bit. Fred Fleitz, thanks so much for being with us. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.